Casting with Kerry Jones.
Hi guys, and welcome to this week's podcast. This week's episode, I drove up to the Midlands to meet my guest, and I was going to fish a Rutland Water with him. But geez, ain't it cold? I don't think we'd have lasted an hour before our rod rings would have frozen up. So instead of fishing, I actually met up with him and recorded our chat in his office of where he runs his business, Flash Attack. Supplying flies to anglers up and down the country and all over the world. He talks about what goes on behind the scenes and how he started selling flies and what goes into making it the success it is today. He also is a guide on Rutland Water, and if you've listened to past episodes, I've actually spent a couple of days with him on Rutland chasing big browns. And if you haven't tuned in to one of the past episodes, go on my Patreon and tune in and have a listen. He is also the coach for the second time of the English youth team and will be fishing in Clywedog in the coming season. He talks about how his season was this year and best methods and patterns which he found have brought the most success. So welcome once more to my chat with Craig Barr. Well, it's good to be back, Craig.
Welcome.
We was going to fish, but looking at outside now, I don't think we'll bother because we're in the warmth of your office now.
I'd much rather be sat here than out there, that's for sure, Kerry. -1 out there in a minute with the frost.
I know.
No thanks.
And yesterday was bad. You couldn't even see 30 yards probably when you were casting.
I know.
The fog.
This time of year when the fog comes down, there's nothing worse than sitting out on a lake. Your fingertips just remain like ice all day. Not enjoyable.
And I noticed you just come off a phone from your brother. Was he fishing yesterday?
He was, yeah.
Did he catch?
Well, he went hunting for the bigger fish, and as we found this last month, they're just not playing. They've not been shown anywhere. He's mentioned Whitwell, the dam, Blue Pipes, usual hotspots to find them, and he's not moved a fish. He said, did he move one?
Really?
Apart from a stocky brownie at Sykes Lane, nothing until the usual hotspot at the minute, which is the lodge front.
Is it? They're all at the lodge now, are they?
Yeah, but not the big ones. There was an otter joining their party yesterday, apparently. And I'm beginning to wonder if that's where some of these oversized fish have gone, you know.
And they might be wiser thinking, geez, let's get out.
They'd keep out of the way, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I've known in a fishery, White House Mill it was called, and he had pet browns in a holding pond. And they were like high teens, they were. And one day he got up and the otter had them both. It was two of them. And so all they did is eat the head.
Yeah, they just eat the top, don't they? Leave the rest, yeah.
And,
I've seen them on the spey, salmon before, just a head gone missing and lovely bar of silver line there apart from a head. Otter fodder.
Well, where we're sitting now, this is to many, it's like a kid in a sweet shop. Flies everywhere. This is your your home for most of the time, I suppose. So how many flies do you reckon is in this room then?
Thousands.
You know, you wouldn't even think of counting.
I wouldn't know exactly how many, but we do hold a reasonably good stock of every fly. We have to, you know, to ensure that they can go out. Occasionally, you know, we're all human. We're not perfect. We do run out, but that's my logistical job to sort out stock. As I mentioned yesterday, we had a little arrival of some stock yesterday. That was a top-up stock of flies that we saw was getting low. But no, we balance it.
I suppose this
fairly.
is something which is growing all the time. New patterns, you've got to be on the ball.
Yeah, that is the side. I mean, not only that, you've got the barbless range and the barbed range now, so all our costs are double because we're trying to supply what we've got in barbless.
Oh, right.
So whereas many years ago it was just barbed, we had one bill, now we've got two bills or twice as much to pay because we're trying to emulate both hooks, barbed and barbless for each fly.
It's just the most popular patterns, or do you try to get them all?
Well, the most popular flies, really, I mean, tequila fabs and boobies are always out there.
Yeah.
And then on the nymph side, it's the Nemos, crisp packet buzzers, lures, it's the snakes. I mean, it varies. I mean, you can never say what's the most popular fly because each to their own out there. All the anglers will have their own favourites. So it'll be blue flash damsel one day, it'll be a Midas the next, it'll be a hare's ear the next. It's just, that's why we have to carry what we carry, just to cater for everybody.
Do you find this growing? More and more people are fishing barbless?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I think more and more fisheries are pushing it because you know they believe it's looking after the welfare of the trout. I mean, I caught 50 odd at Rutland the other day and put a post up mentioning the numbers and I shouldn't really have done that because I don't normally do that, but I did, and lo and behold, someone jumps on, and you know, don't you think catching that many is too many? And what about the death rate of the fish? And I thought, well, you know, anyone that fishes with me will know I take extreme care with the return of fish. You know, I'm really, really paranoid about the welfare of the trout when I catch it. I use barbless hooks. Very rarely do I touch them. The odd photograph here and there, but I'm extremely careful, and I really am. And you know, when I get a comment like that, I can't help but throw my passion back at it and say, well, look, you ever watch me fishing, you will see, you know, the fish are in the net, they're on barbless hooks, they drop out, they return without me even touching them. If I take a photo, I'm extremely careful, back quick. I'll never put a trout back that's kind of wavering. I'll wait till it's ready to go. So as far as looking after the trout go, I'm really, really conscious of doing that.
Yeah.
And yet
You're going to get people.
Yeah, I see people putting trout into the boat, flapping about on the nets, and I even saw one recently with photographs of browns that you know you can't keep anymore at Rutland on the boat seat for a photograph. And thinking, well, that trout's come out the net onto a boat seat, the wooden thwart boards, for a photograph, picked up and been put back. I'm thinking, well, that's the sort of thing that you want to be saying. What about the welfare of the trout? Not me that's had a lot. Okay, that's fine. I can't help how many fish take my flies, which is what I said in that comment. It's not up to me how many want to pull my flies that day. You know, the fish will congregate in that area for a reason. There's lots of fry there. So the numbers go up. But returning them, I'm very hot on
I
the
think
welfare
when
of
you
the fish.
get to a stage, like, you're a name in the sport, and I get it, it's like people will comment and have a dig at you for something, and when you look at their profile, they're not really experienced anglers. They're just somebody who's using your name to get sort of attention. You know, as if I haven't got no time for people like that, to be honest. I don't even give them a response half the time.
Yeah, well, I like to make my point. I mean, you know, I get what he was saying, and you know, and lots of people are going to read that post and read his comment, and I thought, well, I'm going to respond to that because he doesn't know me, I don't think. You know, he's seen 50 fish caught, and obviously the water's extremely cold this time of year, and everyone went back like a rocket straight into the water, straight off.
Sweet.
I may have touched 3 of them, 3 out of the 50 fish that the guy and I landed between us. I think there was no more than 4. He took a photograph for 1, I took a photograph for 3. That was it. But as I said to him, we're holding the fish in the water. I get the camera ready. I say now, picks the fish up, quick shot, drop back in again. That's how we do it. We're not allowing them flapping about in the boat, holding them for 10 minutes. You know, we really are very, very quick.
Yeah.
And so I like people to know that.
And the
how I
difference
do
I
it.
noticed as well with your flies, going onto the flies themselves now, the patterns. Whereas there's lots of people selling flies now, but I think you're the only one I know that's the flies are tied on your own hooks, which, you know, you actually sell hooks as well as flies.
Yeah. I mean, that was important to me. I mean, you know, we all know that a lot of people are getting hooks from Africa. I use Sri Lanka as well as one of my suppliers, in Thailand and Kenya. A lot of people know Kenyan flies, and suppliers are bombarding social media everywhere and wherever else. However, the way I differentiate myself is because the hooks, you know, don't get me wrong, when I first started, I was getting mine direct, and you'll get one type of hook one month, another type of hook the next. And as I built my brand, built my name, built my supplies to shops and fisheries, etc., and customers, I knew I needed to take that change. I needed to take that plunge. I needed to get my own supplies. I now supply the vast majority of my own materials. I spend thousands of pounds a year on that. I've now got my own hook supply to ensure the quality of the product. I mean, the 2 most important things is the quality of the fly and the hook. There's no point in having a beautifully dressed fly and a hook that just breaks. I mean, reality is that you're going to get the odd rogue hook. You know, I won't name other brands, but I buy hooks in from UK companies here. I've bought hooks in from Europe from another supplier of barbless hooks, and I've had breakages. It happens. So you know, when it happens across anyone's hooks, you just take it with a pinch of salt because it's going to happen. Maybe 1 in every 300 hook will break. It happens, but you know, you don't want that to happen, but it does.
How long have you been doing this?
I started flies on a very small scale, 1999 thereabouts, with Chris Dawn. I went out fishing with him on buzzers at Rutland.
Because you worked for Trowfish at
I did, yeah. At that time, I worked for them, and we went out and did a feature on Rutland way back in 1999, 1998, somewhere around there. And
that was your David Beckham lookalike days.
oh, that was the day. That was the day. The six pack, the hairdo, they had the whole works going on then. But it's all gone now, of course. But they were the days. Yeah, they were the days. And we had a cracking day on buzzers. And Dave Phipps in the shop at the time, the manager there, who I knew well, said, "Oh, put some of them in this little slot here in the tray." So I tied them myself, tied a couple of dozen of them up, stuck them in there. And Dave was saying, "Oh, that buzz there is what Craig Barr caught on." Of course, it was in the magazine as well, which helped. And then they sold, and then I added a couple more flies, and that's how it started.
Yeah.
It was like, we can have 12 little slots, Craig, and then 12 went to a tray, and a tray went to 2 trays, and now I've got however many thousands in there at any one time now, which is great, It's great,
Yeah.
but a lot of work involved. A lot of work, damn hard, as you've seen, staying with me here. That I'm on my laptop at night, I'm on my laptop in the morning. Always something to do. People, when you're self-employed, you are the cog. You are the main cog of the business. Without you, it doesn't work. So you do everything.
Every fly which you send out, you've seen.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I don't think people actually realise the vast majority of flies that go out the door go past my eyes first. Occasionally they don't always go out past my eyes, and the odd little rogue one may go out the door, but no.
I guess
I won't let them go out the door.
Because you've got so many flies there to choose from for your own box, you can say. You don't tie yourself.
No.
No
I
interest
used
in it,
to.
no.
I used to enjoy tying, and I've still got a tying fly. I only bought a tying kit a couple of years ago. I thought I ought to start fly tying again, and because just it's a nice, relaxing pastime. And I bought a kit, and then I sat tying for half an hour at the table, and I just thought, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I've got millions of flies out there. Why do I need to sit here and tie them?
It's quite a nice therapeutic thing to do, mine, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, I used to tie when I was a lot younger. I used to tie for hours and hours, and I used to really enjoy getting everything looking exactly the same. But unfortunately, with the sweet shop I've got, I can't justify the time now.
You've got 2 young boys. Do they fish?
Yeah, the oldest one does, Oscar, 13. He fishes. We've just been away for the weekend at a competition I run at Greg Lewis Springs in North Wales, a fantastic fishery there. He fished that. He caught and lost one before I caught one, which was...
Oh, did he? Oh, you managed to cast the line yourself for the competition?
Yeah, I had a go. But he can cast all right. And yeah, the youngest one's not really into it yet.
Yeah.
He's more homely and in the warmth.
It's been cold, mine, haven't it? What was it? How did it actually fish like?
What, Craig Lewis? It fished well. One guy won it with 10. Kev Morris, from Wales, I think he was. He had 10. He did brilliant. I mean, he was catching all around the lake. Slow start, but it was -1, and then it got up to a staggering 2 degrees in the day. And it was very cold, but everyone stuck at it, and 10, 7, 6, 5s, 4s, so it fished all right, really.
Well, the plan for this weekend was to, like when I was up last with you, and we had a day on the Browns, and you say you've got to come up November, December even.
Yeah.
Like November, December is the new September. I remember you saying it was in my head,
Yeah.
And Nigel Savage is saying the same. So we penciled in, right, come up now. But you said it hasn't really happened on the bank this year.
No. It's not happened.
Strange,
just
isn't it?
no point. The fact that the water dropped 50 metres at least on the bank. At least. I mean, you couldn't access it anyway because you're getting stuck up to your knees in mud, especially my little hotspot on the peninsula at Armley Wood. John Scott Parker and myself went down for a sneaky session in the morning, and we couldn't get to the water's edge because of the mud. So we couldn't fish it, but it's just not happened. It's just not happened. Rutland does that. You anticipate this real back-end bonanza like we had the year before, and this year it's just not happened.
It's been a funny year, mate.
It's just not happened.
Apart from the water levels as well, which hasn't helped, I find it's been the longest autumn. I can imagine the leaves hanging onto the tree in December.
Oh yeah, they're still
quite
just
the
clinging
flu.
on, yeah.
And then the thing was so it was mild, and all of a sudden, in about 2 or 3 days, it's gone bang the opposite way.
Arctic weather's come in and it's gone completely freezing. Whether that kick-starts what we were hoping would be happening now into January, I don't know, because I've got a few days booked out for some guiding then in January.
Have you?
And I'm hoping...
What's open in January, is it?
Finishes end of Jan, closes February, and opens again sort of around about the 10th, 12th of March.
Just 1 month is closed,
sort of 6-week window where Rutland closes now, and Graffham, yeah. So they're
Oh.
still open. I'm out, I think, 4 days in January. So I'm hoping this Arctic blast that we've got now brings what I thought should be happening now, start happening in January. Because we've not had this cold weather yet, until now.
January might be a wet, miserable month.
Oh, hope not.
Yeah. So will you fish again this year, no?
Yeah.
I know it's not long left. What is it, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm actually out this coming Thursday, 2 days' time for a day in the cold, but there's a lot
On
of
the
fish.
boat, no?
Yeah, on the boat, yeah. There's a lot of fish out in front of the lodge. I don't know where they've come from, but there's a hell of a lot of fry there, and that must be bringing them in. And I say I'm out 3 or 4 times in January to date, 3 at Rutland, 1 at Graffham. So,
Oh, is it? Guiding, this is no pleasure.
Yeah, it's guiding days out, chasing the bigger fish, because they should be here now, and I've been putting folk off into January because it's not happened in December, which, I can't quite get my head around. I'm wondering whether this cold spell will finally bring that on, because it hasn't happened yet, which normally it does this time of year.
Like you had, was it 50 between you?
Yeah, just last week, me and a guy.
Were they on sinkers then? They're down deep?
No, fast glass. They were 2 or 3 feet. 2 or 3 feet from the surface, yeah. And, we had 2 grown-on fish, 4.5 to 3.5 pound rainbows. The rest were silvered up stockfish, but there hasn't been stocked for months, so where they've all come from, they've just turned up there.
Is it?
From wherever, but there's a lot of fish in front of that lodge at the moment.
So how was your season been generally then?
This one's been pretty tough this year. I've had some good days, but across the board, it has been a trickier season. I mean, we had the hottest summer for a long time this year, which undoubtedly's had an effect on it. I mean, certainly in the sort of 4 or 5 week window where we had consistent hot weather, I never went because you're up against it straight away. And then I think that really warmed the water to 21, 22 degrees.
That happened early, didn't it? June.
Yeah. So, that in itself, 20 odd degrees temperature water, the fish, they're not interested really. They're not going to play in that. So I think that's had a huge effect on this season's fishing. And also the water clarity has been gin clear all year. There's thousands of mussels in there now that's filtering that water, and the water's been so... And I've not seen it like that ever before.
Have you had any big fish this year?
I had an 8-pound brown, beginning of November this year, mid-November, sorry, it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
The North Arm?
No, that was down at the Normanton Blue Pipes. It came to a humongous...
Oh, was it?
Yeah, a white humongous on a booby basher. I think the drift before that, I saw it come up to the fly, but it was 2 or 3 feet below it, and it just cruised away. We came back round the drift 10 minutes later, and I caught a fish, and it was in the same area, and it was a brown, which I'd seen come to the fly. It was about 8-pound one. That was a stunning fish as well. Got the drogue in and chased it across the lake. And then, of course, when you and I went out in June, we had those 2 7-pound fish up at the tower on
September, that was.
Was it all September?
August, September.
Was it August? Or September?
Yeah.
Oh, it might have been, yeah.
I met you in June.
Of course, yeah.
It was a hot spell in June, wasn't it? No, but yeah, it was only...
But yeah, those 2 browns, they were, 2 7-pound browns were cracking fish that day.
And it wasn't just those 2. We had activity. We'd have fish come up, fish on.
Some big fish, yeah.
And
that's when the pin fry were there, that's when they were active. Water temperature would drop to a fraction maybe. And then since then, it's just got slower.
What's your highlights the last year?
Those 2 browns, our day out was...
It was a good day.
It was an afternoon session, and to get 2 fish like that and raise some other bigger ones and see the activity we saw, that was, one of the highlights, definitely.
And we stuck to it.
Yeah, and I also had a brilliant day at Graffham. I had 3 browns for about £20. That was just recently again. When was that? October. two and a popper fry off the top, and they took them just like they were little dry flies, head and tail, as slow as you like, 10 feet in front of me, 2 7-pound plus browns on a popper fry.
When you fish those popper fries, do you fish along the close in?
Yeah. I mean, notoriously at Graffham, especially this time of year, the fish are extremely tight. And, 2 occasions in the last sort of 6 weeks, I've caught fish behind bank anglers that are wading.
Oh, really?
They like to get in and see how far they can get out in the water. Well, one guy was 30 yards to his left, but we were actually behind him. He was out in front of us, and we were behind him in the boat, catching off the bank behind him. And each time I caught 3, and every time I caught, he turned around and looked over his shoulder, and I'm letting it thrash about as if to say, look, mate, you should be on the bank because these fish are behind you.
Yeah.
And then the same thing happened the same day. There was 5 guys going towards the seat there, all wading out up to their thighs, and we were 40 yards below them, took the boat inside onto the shore. The bow of the boat was more or less touching the soil on the bank, the silt, just under the water there. And it was, first cast, me and my guided chap out, first cast, both hooked into a £3 plus bar of silver rainbow, and all 4 of the heads, 30 yards up, all turned around and looked, and heard one of them say, geez, they're behind us, look what they've just caught. And I'm like, well, there's the point, guys, you're all wading out up to your necks. And
when you're fishing these popper fries, do you actually, as the name suggests, you strip it, or you sort of fish it slow and then jerk it just to get that pop?
Yeah, well, as soon as it lands, what I do, give it 2-3 seconds, because I think the fish hear it land, they go plop, and they look instinctively, as you probably would. They look, and then I leave it 2-3 seconds, go 2 fast yanks, 2 fast pulls across the top, and it skates away, and stop it. And then I think, if any trout is near it, and they think, and grab it. And then, if nothing happens in the first 5-10 seconds, which if it's going to happen, it's going to happen then, I will just figure eight it back, almost start it, and every now and again, short, sharp jerk, bounce it across the top, 2 or 3 feet, stop again, do the same again.
Yeah.
So it's always normally within 5 seconds of landing. If something's nearby, 2 rips across the surface, and something's there, it's going to come.
It's very similar to fishing dries then, because usually when you're in a drifting boat, you're fishing dries, you're casting out, and usually you get the fish straight away.
Yeah. Oh, exactly the same. Exactly the same. If they're there with the dry, if they're there, they're going to come at it within 3-4 seconds. You know, just chuck it, drop, 1, 2, 3, up, chuck somewhere else again. Just fan cast. Yeah. I'll do that with dries. Give the fly 5 seconds on the surface, up, cast it to the left, up, cast it to the right, down in front, to the left, to the right, back to front.
Yeah, those popper fries, they sound exciting stuff. Like, do you remember years ago? There was a time, like back end of the year, September. I'd always used to fish Chew more often than not, because it was local to me. And my cast, I know what my cast was then. Muddler on the top, Silver and Victor, and something else in the middle, and an appetizer on a point. And then you'd like cast a long line and just rip, and you get the bow waves coming after it. You know, I haven't done that for years, and I wondered if it would still work. You know,
Neither have I. My dad's favourite used to be a muddler minnow.
Yeah,
the little brown one with the silver body, the brown head and whatever else,
and the turkey wing.
Yeah, and he'd just bounce it across the top and fish chasing it all over the place. But I haven't fished a muddler for years. I haven't fished one for over a decade.
This was a popper fry they would chase if they wanted to.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I've had them bow waving 20 yards behind the fly before, just following it. Yeah, I mean, that is exciting. That's the thrill of the surface fishing, isn't it? It's the thrill of seeing it bow waving behind it and then eventually just jumping on top and grabbing hold of it.
So, what's the number one method you found this year? Your best, most successful method?
Obviously, that would change throughout the season, but certainly since September, the humongous has been the fly for me this year at the back end, from September onwards. And bizarrely, normally I use the black and gold. It's my go-to fly every time. But this year, it's been the white one. The white humongous is. I mean, I had that £8 brown just a few weeks back on it, and it's.
How big do you fish that then?
Sorry?
10 or 8 long or something, is it? How big a fly would that?
Size 8. Yeah, an 8 size 8 hook.
Mouthful,
yeah. And I like a good long tail, silver flash under the body. And it's completely outfished the black and gold one. I fished the black and gold one alongside the white one at the same time, and just this year they're picking out the white one.
I have vouchers available to spend on my online shop, the sign prints, gilly kettles, and other accessories, or for one of my guiding tuition packages. Plus now taking bookings for my Corrid Ferox days for next season. I was in Clywedog last weekend chatting with Russ and Gaz. And Gazza's one of the Gazza's flies, top flies, humongous. Yeah. He would say that's the number one go-to fly. But after saying that as well, I asked him the question, the most popular method on Clywedog, hands down, is the bung. It's the same. People don't fish it so much here, no?
No. I mean, I don't think I've fished the bung this year, to be honest.
Really?
I really don't think I have. No, I mean, so Rutland's been a bit bizarre this year. It's just not fired like it normally does. You get spells of when they put stockfish in and it will fish well, etc., etc. But generally, it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy season for me on there. I mean, it has its day on the bung on there, but it's not something I normally go to be honest.
Yeah.
I much prefer straight line nymphing or washing lining, unless I hear the bung's fishing well, or I'm in a competition and someone's fishing the bung and out fishing me, then I will fish it. But it's not a go-to method I would do. Small waters, I will do it because it works very well on there.
Do you fish much competitions now, though? Did you do any this year?
I did. I didn't do as many. I mean, I've had a busy year with other things going on. I've been to Canada and all sorts of things, and the England youth team away in Ireland and the England senior team away in Wales. So I had a lot going on, and I've got to try and juggle the family with my fishing, and so I have took a little bit of a back burner to it this year. But next year, again, there's one or two that I'm not going to be doing purely because of time. They take a lot of dedication, practice days.
Yeah.
Away at Chew Valley, 2 days practice, 2 days match. So you're looking at 5 days. You've got the cost element, and again, I'm away to Canada this year for 10 days, or 2023 for 10 days.
What's that, holiday?
It's my 50th birthday treat to myself. Me and a gang of boys are going over there. For 9 of us are going for 10 days.
Fishing?
Salmon fishing, steelhead, at Terrace.
Yeah. I remember you saying you liked salmon fishing.
And so I'm going every year now, running a trip for 2024. If anyone's interested, get in touch.
Where?
To Terrace in Canada again. This is for a week though. From 2024 onwards, it'll be a week of fishing for steelhead, coho salmon, and king salmon, etc., etc. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's just out of this world. I wish I'd found the place years ago, but
really?
I went last year for the first time. Had a 20-pound steelhead, had 19 salmon in the week, all on the fly. And it was just phenomenal. Couldn't believe it. Yeah. I thought, I can't get there.
Double-handed then or single-handed?
I caught the first 3 on a single-handed, biggest 16-pound, until I got overexcited for photograph and snap my rod, and stood on it. And that was the only trout what I took. So I was just distraught. I had a double-hander, 13-foot, which I used for the remainder of the week. But I know that I would be very happy to use an 8-weight rod all the time this next year when I go. So I'm going to
take a spare with you.
Just use the 8-weights, take several rods, 3 rods, 8-weight fly lines. But it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. So I've got that next year. I'm the England youth coach still. I'm in Wales next year for a week at Clywedog. I can't wait for that.
You're the youth coach?
Yeah, the youth coach, So I'm in Wales with the England youth team next year at Clywedog, so I'm really looking forward to that. Never fished it before, but I know it's an exceptional place to fish with loads of fish. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
More fish than water in the Clywedog.
Yeah, I can't wait, to be honest, because I know 15 or 20 is not.
Have you been coached before?
Sorry,
were you coached before?
Yeah,
was this the first time?
No, I went to Wales to Ireland last year with the England team.
Oh,
the youth team, yeah.
How did they do that?
We were second.
What water was that?
That was at Loch Lean.
Oh yeah,
fabulous place that was. Yeah,
down in Ceri.
Sorry,
down south, down in Ceri.
Yeah. And England was second. We, one of the Irish lads, exceptional rod on the day, had 6. And had he not had 6, and averaged the rest of the team 2 or 3, would have actually won. Which and we were scraping 3 and 4 as a whole team in practice. But we concluded that the only way we were going to catch one was on the surface. So we ruled out any pulling, because I pulled for 2 days without fish. So if I weren't going to catch one pulling, I don't think many people were going to. So we ruled that out. And what was caught amongst the team, which wasn't many, we decided was in the top foot. So as a team, we decided surface fishing only, and we nearly pulled it off. We had the team had 10 or 11 fish, and we're very unlucky.
I think Clywedog would be more suited for the English boys. It's very much a rainbow water than the Browns,
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's full of fish, we know. So it's going to be big catches, we think. And all comes down to today again, doesn't it? I think tactics might not be as accurately needed there because there's a lot of fish in there. So it will be down to who catches the most. Yeah. Which I think the way it fishes could be anybody, really.
Yeah. It's a nice venue when the water's coming up. It was down 17 metres this year.
Jeez, yeah.
But it's down to 6 now, or up to 6. So I'm sure it's during this winter now it's going to come up.
Yeah, Rutland's the same. It was way down, but it's pumping in like crazy now.
And what's your goals for next year?
My goals? One of my goals is to ensure a safe trip for everybody on my birthday to Canada. That's something I'm really excited about. So I'm looking forward to that again. It would be nice to win the goal for the youth team. That'll be, got to fancy our chances at Clywedog. There's a lot of fishing there. I've got a good bunch of boys around us now. Tim Joyce is my right-hand man. He certainly knows what he's doing and how to coach. So, with that combination of me and him, I'm sure we've got a great chance. We've got some really good anglers in the team as well.
And I'm sure you'll have a few flies for them. Oh,
of course, absolutely. That's there's an endless supply of flies for the boys there. So we've certainly got that on our side. But yeah, that's one of my goals for the youth team. Do I do the England Eliminators next year? I don't know. I've got other priorities now in my head. I've got my family. I've got other goals outside of fishing that I want to be achieving as well.
Yeah.
So I've got to see how it goes. My work-life balance is changing as we go, as my priorities in life change. But I'll certainly be there. I'll certainly be on the scene.
What do you do to switch off? Because with your life, you can say, your business is flies and fishing and tackle, and then you're taking people out, guiding. Do you ever get to the stage you just it's too much? I do. Sometimes I'll take about 3 or 4 days. I don't look at social media. I don't want to see a fish. Do you find like that?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, just this year, I've literally taken to stop going on to Messenger on my phone, because I know when I go in there, there's questions. As I'm on Rutland a lot, I'm getting asked pretty much daily. Yeah. Hi Craig, I'm off to Rutland tomorrow, I'm off to Rutland Friday, I'm off to Rutland next week. How's it fishing? I've even had a phone call recently about Craig, the Six was coming up to Rutland in May. Can you, our usual bed and breakfast guy, Airbnb guy is no longer doing it. Can you find us some accommodation? And I'm a bit of a directory really. And I don't mind, but it's constant. So I'm starting to think at times I just want to switch off from it, because my mind's racing under my nail a lot of the time with my work, with my flies, with my supplies, with my buys, with my hook supplies, with my flies coming in, with my stock levels, with my invoicing, with my online orders, with my everything, and my fishing on top of all that. So my mind's always racing. I'm always busy, and I don't like to say no to people. I don't like that. So I'm very open to emails and WhatsApps and questions and messages.
You won't be answering no messages on Monday.
So on Monday.
Your birthday?
Oh, absolutely not. No, my 50th birthday, I'll be taking the complete day off. I won't turn my phone off because I'll be getting messages, no doubt. But I've got to keep on the ball, because I like the fact people come to me for the questions on Rutland and fly lines and reels and this and that. I get that, and I like that, because obviously they see me as a port of call for these questions, which is obviously reflects well on me as an individual, that they feel they can come to me about that. So, I do respond to everybody. Sometimes I miss it, because, I can get not just messages about fishing, but messages from suppliers and buyers and all the people I deal with, and messages do drop off the screen, and I don't always pick them up. And then, so I can miss bits, which... Good old days of emails for business. It's now WhatsApp, it's emails, it's phone calls, it's texts, it's messengers. So I don't always pick everything up. Yeah. And someone will say, I sent you an email, or I sent you a messenger, or I sent you a WhatsApp. I'm like, well, I don't always go across all my social medias every day, seeing what's going on. I do miss bits and bobs now and again. So I do like the good old-fashioned email, because emails I check every day and night and afternoon and on my phone. Yeah. But text, WhatsApps, messengers, I don't always check that social media every single day, and occasionally I'll miss bits, but which frustrates me. If I miss, someone's asked me a specific question about, I'm going to Rutland tomorrow, and I see it 2 days later, I think, damn, I wish I'd seen that, just to let them, give them a bit of a pointer really, because that's good for me, that's good for them. And but I do like to come up for air now and again, and just of late I will think, no, I'm not going to look at my phone tonight. I'm going to not switch my laptop on at 8 o'clock at night. I'm going to chill, and I do that. But I wake early. I'm an early morning person, quite often 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Yeah. I'm up, and the first thing I do is laptop, questions, queries, problems, whatever's going on. I deal with that first. boys get up at 7 in the morning, and I'm running around looking after them every day.
Yeah.
And then if there's anything to deal with on laptop, up it comes again, get it out the way, and then it's work.
Yeah.
Or fishing.
Well, as regards fishing over the winter, I don't think I'll be doing an awful lot now. Might get the odd day. I'm not into grayling. Everyone's into grayling down South Wales. And it's not something I would really want to do, stand in a cold river catching fish. But I'm looking forward now. You know, I'll switch off very much a traditional sort of mindset like we used to years ago. Last day of September, finish. And then start back again then March the 1st. And I'll be doing that now. And one of the things I enjoyed last year, one of the highlights I had was the day we had, and it opened my eyes how many big browns there are in Rutland. Sort of the 5-6 pound, you know. So, you know, the idea was to catch these fish now, back end, didn't come about. So, but I'm looking forward to next spring. Because the big fish, when I fish in Ireland and the Corrib, it's not the back end, it's always spring, you know. So, next maybe March, April.
May's the time.
I'll be in Ireland then. But I will give it a go, definitely April. But the thing is, April then, on the English waters here, is buzzer time, isn't it? They're all going to be the temptation.
Yeah, the big browns are in Hideaway Bay, and it's no secret. Hideaway Bay, April, May. As soon as the water starts to warm in June, they disappear. But they're there. I took a guy out last year, specifically on browns, and you know, they're on the buzzers there. But we were fishing humongous on a die 5 sweep, which is the right line that time of year to get them up. And the day before, I'd risen at least 10 fish in Hideaway Bay. And there probably wasn't one under £5 that day when I rose them. I was like,
really?
Geez, there were some real lumps, you know, double-figured, 1 or 2 of them. Proper quality fish, and they're always there year in, year out, every year, without fail. And so I got on the phone to a friend of mine who wants to catch them, and it was a guided day, and he said, "Oh, right, do you think the time's right?" I said, "Oh, absolutely. Let's go tomorrow." So he'd come up from Luton, and we fished that day, and I'm the guide showing him how to do it, and I rose half a dozen or so to the boat, up to double figures again, without landing one. He landed 4. Wow. 4 browns, £7 was the biggest, 6, 4, and a 5.
Humongous.
All on a black humongous, black and gold humongous, all on a die 5 sweep, as I'd said, and I couldn't believe it. He talks to me now. I take him out quite regularly in Rutland. He talks to me now saying, "I still can't get over that day, Craig. I'll never get a deal of that again." I said, "Well, you may well do, because they're there, and we're certainly heading there again next May, hopefully for a repeat." But to have 4 browns of that size in one day was amazing.
Yeah.
And he still talks about it to this day, and it was just last year.
You have to show me where this tray is, I guess. I'll have to get a few for next year now. Well, it's been great to catch up again. How do you fancy going out and bite to eat now?
Yeah.
And we take a spin over the Rutland,
yeah,
see what's going on there.
I can just see that the sun's coming out a bit now, so a little quick nip out for something to eat and a quick recce across to Rutland sounds like a great plan.
Is your brother fishing today?
Not today, he was out yesterday.
Yeah.
But not today, no. So yeah, bite to eat and a little nip across to Rutland, 10 minutes away.
One thing left to say, was Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year to yourself.
And a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Cheers, Craig.
You're welcome.
If you've enjoyed this podcast and want to listen to more, please consider becoming a Patreon, where you will get over 90 past episodes and weekly podcasts, plus photography and exclusive content. To join, visit patreon.com/casting with Ceri Jones, or see the link on my website, castingwithcerijones.com. Well, that's all for now. Tight lines and don't strike too soon.